Yuriko Oyama, aka Lady Deathstrike.
Oh.
First appearance technically as Yuriko Oyama in Daredevil 197, and then later in Alpha Flight as Lady Deathstrike in Alpha Flight number 33, April of 1986.
Lady Deathstrike's powers is she has claws?
She's a cyborg, to make it short.
Okay.
But she does a lot of stuff with adamantium and stuff as well, usually like adamantium, like nails and stuff. We'll get into it in a moment. Anyway, hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis Feogrande on YouTube, sometimes referred to as Pete on this show, and I am joining you for another episode of the Whatever We Want podcast. And as usual, I am joined by one of my best friends in the world, a co-host of mine and running mate, the man who bears watching, Superjaz.
As nature intended. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Yes, as he said, it is your boy, Superjaz. You can call me Jazz, SJ, JT, whatever you want, what have you in the life. And as he stated so eloquently, this is the Whatever We Want podcast where we do just that. As I always say, we talk about whatever we want. We do not lead this conversation. This conversation leads us, and we let these chips fall where they may.
Every Wednesday.
You all right over there, bro?
Apparently, the brand. I'm gonna cover up the brand, but I don't like this.
I'm about to say, apparently whatever it is nasty. I said, apparently whatever that is nasty.
Yeah, pretty much. I was just like, yeah, it's a beer that, yeah, even as far as beers goes, it's not good to me.
And what's so funny is that before we started recording, you were like slowly pouring it over ice to get it ready to go the distance of the whole hour.
It wasn't even so much pouring it over ice. It was like the fizz had got up, and I'm trying not to have the fizz go over the thing. So I'm like trying to get the bubbles to go down. But yeah,
I was just gonna say from where I'm sitting, it was like I'm slowly calculating. This gonna be good. We got a whole 60 minutes. Come on. Oh, that's what it looked like.
It was not good. Don't be fooled, folks. If you see me drinking it later, it's mainly because it's there, and I gotta get rid of it somehow. Bottom line is,
you sound like a fucking alcoholic. You're not alcoholic, but that sounds like some alcoholic ass shit.
Gotta get rid of it somehow.
I gotta get rid of it. It was there. What the fuck?
It's there, you know? But there's a lot of talking. Anyway. Sometimes you need to like drink something, keep going. But yeah, so you asked about Lady Deathstrike. Essentially, if I remember correctly, her father came up with the whole process of binding adamantium to bone. Like, you know, putting adamantium on people's skeletons. But it was stolen by some Canadian scientists and stuff. Obviously, the results of all that research eventually result in Wolverine. And because her father got killed for the research and all that stuff, and Wolverine's walking around, the result of her dad's research, she initially just hated him for that, accused him of stealing the whole idea. Then eventually she tries to attack him, gets bodied because she's just a normal person against him. And then I think she gets mutilated as well, or at the very least injured. Spiral, who you may know from the Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the chick with 6 arms or whatever. Anyway, she pretty much shows up like, I'm an interdimensional being, and I'd say I can make you better. I'll make you a cyborg. Comes a cyborg, Lady Deathstrike, joins with a group of cyborgs known as the Reavers, led by a guy named Donald Pierce. If that name sounds familiar to you, it's because he was the villain in Logan. But Donald Pierce and the Reavers, at least in the manga, in the comics, is like a group of people who were mutilated by cyborgs and partially robotic people who were mutilated by Wolverine, and their whole purpose is fuck a nigga named Wolverine. He's the reason we are this way, including a dude named Pretty Boy, who I think the only thing left of his original body is his head.
It's fucking comics, man. Like it genuinely makes you wonder sometimes, and I mean this in no finger pointy, disrespectful, like shit talking sounding way, but it makes you wonder, like, when they were writing that shit sometimes, like, were them motherfuckers genuinely doing some drugs? Sometimes, because some of that shit is like, how the fuck did you think of that shit, man?
Well,
some of that shit.
Some of these characters have been around for a minute.
Well, yeah, and then back in the 60s, motherfuckers were taking acid. So,
well, this is the 80s, but yeah.
But I'm just talking about just superheroes in general, and like the invention and the inception of superheroes into like the zeitgeist and pop culture just initially, period. And that's why I'm like, because that whole like flower power, the whole flower power and like the color, like not the color, but the shapes of the flowers being all like weirdly curvy and almost like Salvador Dali clock melting looking type shit.
Yeah.
Like that shit was because motherfuckers was popping acid and they saw the fucking shit looking like that. That's what
I know there was a lot of drugs in the 60s. I'm not denying that.
Because that's also where free love came from, because, you know, it wasn't a whole lot of STDs or whatever back then, and people just didn't give a fuck, so everybody was fucking everybody. I'm not making it up. No, seriously, that was like, yeah. That's why I was like, hey, man, take some drugs, go fuck somebody, and then move on with your life. And then there you go.
Enough.
Which shit, I mean, ain't a bad way to live. Shit, get out, you live. Mm-hmm. But it genuinely makes you wonder if they were just like, okay, he can fly, but I mean, what else? And then motherfucker like was like, dude, I saw this dude that was like really big. Man, that's not crazy. He had a metal exoskeleton and he was Russian. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, you know, like, come on, bro. Like, some of that shit just sounds like the fuck. What about magnets, right? Like, this dude was like, magnets. Okay, what about magnets? No, magnets. Okay. But this dude is like a magnet. Like, he can move metal. He can move, like, all kind of shit. Just metal. But he's like a god when it comes to metal, bro. But just metal. But, bruh, metal? Like, it's like, what the fuck? What should we call him? Magnet. Oh. What the fuck? Oh, shit. When you put a vowel after a consonant and before one, doesn't that make the first one long? Okay, magneto then, bitch. Fuck you. Like, oh shit. But obviously I hate superheroes, which is why I rap under the name Superjaz. No.
Yeah, no, superheroes. It is kind of crazy, like just where the imagination for a lot of people come up with.
Just like in general. I mean, obviously, after a certain time, like they say, nothing is new.
Oh yeah, so we've reached that point.
And I don't even mean to the point where like what you kind of going at, or what it seemed like you were going at, with the whole Hollywood ain't had an original idea in the last like 20 fucking years. But I'm just saying, when they say nothing is new, everything is just a new twist on whatever, which is why everything follows tropes. And even though wrestling is a nonstop continuous thing, it even repeats itself.
Oh yeah.
With like whatever happens, and then you watch movies and you know movies have tropes and all that shit. That's why when you see what they call them fucking movies, like absurdity movies or whatever the fuck, and it's like, what in the fuck is this? Because it doesn't follow the trope we're used to and shit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I hadn't really heard of that particular term, but I hear you. I know what you mean conceptually.
Like, I forget, it's like absurdist. That's what it is. Absurdist, not absurdity. Absurdist.
Okay,
that's what it is. Yeah. Cause Shout out to James Rolfe, Angry Video Game Nerd, but he was talking about some movie he saw when I watched one of his videos because he's a huge stupid movie buff. And he said it was some movie, I forgot the name of it. And I think it was like in the 60s or 70s. And he said the entire movie for like an hour, maybe hour plus, was a camera slowly zooming in on this porch, just slowly zooming in on this fucking porch of this like house. And then at some point in the middle of it, some dude walked up and it like fell out and died or some random ass shit. That's what I'm saying. Shit like that. And that's why shit gotta follow tropes.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'll watch it and be like, the fuck is this? Oh man. What is one of the craziest, weirdest, or just like stands out movies or shows that you've seen?
Whatever?
You can say ever, you can say recently, just
weird. Oh, okay. Jeez. Well, hell, I talked about two of the recent ones I saw on my other channel. Everything Everywhere All at Once and RRR, just because they're both. RRR was a bit more random than Everything Everywhere All at Once. Everything Everywhere All at Once is a great, movie. Yeah. I'm not trying to degrade Everything Everywhere All at Once when I say that I liked RRR was a bit more random for me, just with the. What the hell is even going on?
I haven't even seen RRR, but I was just making that look of shock because something was more random than Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Well, I guess they're both random, but one...
I gotta check this shit out.
One of them's... well, you should check out RRR regardless, but one of the... What was I gonna say? When it comes to those two movies... RRR is a lot more where I feel like while they do have a story to it, it does follow a plot and all this stuff. And there's some great acting in it. It's a bit more we're here to have fun, where Everything Everywhere All at Once has got the whole super serious aspect to it because Oscar winner type deal. And that's why I say RRR is a little more random. Maybe it's random's the wrong word to use. Maybe fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause
And even still, Everything Everywhere All at Once was fun too.
Because I would say at the core of Everything Everywhere All at Once is a story about a family who is starting to drift apart, and they got to find their way back to each other, remind themselves why they love each other.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is like the main point of RRR?
Action things are cool. No.
Okay. Because I'm saying, is it like not? It's probably, you said it's not that deep.
Yeah. Technically, overarching. You want to give you like a summary, like what the plot is about?
No, I'm just talking about like the main. Because every story has like a main kind of theme.
Oh.
Like the main theme of The Wizard of Oz is realizing
it's less whatever the theme is, it's less a serious. I guess one of the themes is the British people used to be terrible people.
I gotta see this fucking movie.
I mean, that's a theme, but it's like I said, the general tone of it's a lot more loose than Everything Everywhere All at Once. But Everything Everywhere All at Once still the superior film. Not saying it isn't. But yeah. But those are two of the main ones that stand out as I haven't seen a lot like these. But that's primarily because I didn't watch a lot of Tollywood films, let alone any.
Tollywood, what country is that?
Same country as Bollywood. It's just Tollywood's a different region. So India.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they have, I think Africa or Nigeria, I believe, has Nollywood.
Huh. This is news to me.
Because I kind of heard about it, if I'm not mistaken.
I know Tennessee has Dollywood.
We talk about different countries.
There's a Dollywood in El Salvador as well, I think. El Salvador Dollywood. Am I right? Something like that. I've heard something along those lines. Bottom line is,
Part of me wants to get mad that you made that joke, but another part of me is like kind of impressed with how you made that connection that quickly to make that stupid joke. So I'm actually
it's a
like,
bad joke.
I'm like, for real, but I'm slightly impressed that you were able to make those stupid connections to actually make that joke. I'm not denying the joke is bad, but the wit behind it is clever. That's what I was saying. What I recently got through watching the last 2 days, I finally, you want to talk about foreign shows that was like, yo, this is some good shit. I finally watched 2 years later Squid Game.
Oh man, that show's amazing, and I haven't seen it.
You do that all the time.
Well,
you haven't seen it, and you just like, well, everybody else says it is, so I'm just gonna say it is, because it's like, if you don't like shit that everybody likes, I mean, take it from me. If you don't like shit everybody likes, fuck it. Like, if you don't like it, you don't like it.
No, I'm not gonna sit here and down talk a show I haven't even seen. I'll down talk a movie I haven't even seen and refuse to see.
Which is
80 for Brady. I think that's a piece of shit, but you know, that's
God. I had to ask.
But generally, I will not down talk something that I haven't even seen.
But I mean, down talking something and praising something that you haven't seen is in the same boat.
What? I think Squid Game's success kind of speaks for itself. Everyone loved it. It was fantastic. And it's like, you know, it's like Last of Us, you know, a modern day masterpiece of a series.
Haven't seen it yet.
And video games. Those video games are some of the best video games you'll play in your life.
Have you ever played it?
No.
I could tell by the look in your face you hadn't. I know you too fucking well. We've been friends too long. You full of shit. God damn.
What? No, that is what they say. They swept the awards the years they came out. They just so fantastic. Last of Us. And Last of Us 2.
This is the thing. I have not played the games, nor have I watched the show yet. So I'm not going to say,
the show is amazing.
I'm not going to say that it is unabashedly amazing as though that is my opinion, because I don't have one. You see what I'm saying?
Same. I'm not saying it's my opinion either. I'm just telling you the facts as I have heard them, and then telling you that it's as I have heard them and not my facts.
You very much sitting up here speaking as though you believe that it's amazing, even though you have nothing to base the amazement on.
I respect it for what it is.
I give you
I respect it for why people think it's amazing. I just don't want to watch it.
You say you don't want to watch it?
No. It's kind of like how I was with The Godfather for a while, where I had seen the original Godfather, and for whatever reason, I found it boring and stupid. But I would still go out and say that, you know, Godfather is a classic. Not for me, but it's a classic. You know, type deal.
That is fair. Okay. Yeah. I'll give you that.
Yeah, because it's an objective fact that The Godfather is a good movie. Whether or not it's your cup of tea, no. But it is an objective fact that, you know, it's a masterpiece.
Those two sentences back to back are oxymoronic. To say it's objective, but then say it may not be your cup of tea. That's somewhat oxymoronic. Just
because the sky is blue doesn't mean you like the color blue. You could say, oh, it's a beautiful sky today because, you know, there's no weather and stuff. And that's true. No bad weather. You're not out here, you know, stormy conditions. It's clearly a blue sky, clearly, you know, beautiful sky today. But this other person likes red instead of blue. So they like, nah, I don't like that. It's not their cup of tea, but it is still objectively a beautiful sky.
No, because this is the thing. Okay, if we're going to go there, we're going to go there. It is fact that the sky is blue, because as the collective populace and throughout history, from when language was created in America, when they came up with what the color that we all call blue collectively, when they put blue to that word, then that matches the color that we refer to in America in English as the sky. So it is a fact, objectively, that the sky is blue. It is never 100% fact that the sky is beautiful.
Well, you got beautiful, sky beautiful, sure. Weather, more what I'm saying. Matter is, a clear sky is a clear sky. Whether or not you like clear sky, maybe blue was the wrong term to use. A clear sky is a clear sky. Whether or not you like clear skies doesn't change the fact that it's a clear sky nonetheless.
Clear, okay. All right, I'll give you that. Beautiful, yeah, beautiful. Because I've always
that
kind
was
of
bad terminology on my behalf.
Well, you know a whole lot of what I'm saying. I'm just saying for the sake of conversation. I don't like genuinely feel like gotcha. But no, I've always kind of felt that a lot of stuff that we consider to be fact is not necessarily fact, but it's widely agreed upon opinion, because of a simple fact that some stuff that we speak as factual would not be, to the smallest term, or like there would be at least some percentage of dissenting opinion for certain things that we say is fact.
True. But for me, I'm just like, I'm one of those people who's not willing, or who's willing to admit when my opinion is not shared by the masses or whatever. For instance, I will tell you, what is it? Let's take Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VI. 6, from all accounts that I've heard, is objectively better. I like 7. Objectively, 6 is better. Got a better written story, probably better characters, all of that stuff. Mechanics in the game. Sure. Me, I like 7. I haven't played 6. I'm willing to respect the fact that just about everybody I know who has played both says 6 is better. All right, that's your... All right, fair enough. I'm not playing 6 just because I don't really feel like playing it. But I will willing to admit, okay, what I like is not as good as what you like. Or
I don't
let's
think...
say Dragon Ball versus Berserk in terms of like writing and literature and stuff. Well, I won't use Berserk because Berserk technically didn't get to end because its author died. I'll say Dragon Ball versus Naruto.
I am still listening. Got the headphones. I'm just going to...
Gotcha. I'll say Dragon Ball versus Naruto, since both of those series has got to end, kind of. From a writing standpoint, I think overall, just in terms of what makes literature, Naruto's objectively better. But I like Dragon Ball more. And I always will. Same thing with One Piece. One Piece is objectively written better than both, but subjectively, some people don't like certain aspects of it, and that's fine. But if you want to talk about the serious aspect of what is literature, that the critics go, ooh, one series will have more of something. You know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
You can follow everything, the structure of everything down to a T to get the objective best example of what you're going for, but people still not like it because of whatever reason. Oh, this one.
I get what
this
you're
film
getting.
had this main character talk 5 more times than this other main character. I hate this movie. You guys should think this movie is stupid. Or this thing follows all the rules and stuff that it should do. It's too perfect, so I hate it. What? But that doesn't mean the movie's actually bad. It means this person's like, nah, that movie's too perfect. I hate it. It doesn't make it any less perfect. So that's why I'm like, there is technically objective. Or we got our GOATs in basketball, you know? That's usually seen as a subjective thing. But no, there is technically an objective way to find out who is the best.
Well, sports is much more quantifiable than entertainment.
But despite the quantifiability, we still have arguments based off of subjectivity.
Well, that's just because people are going to argue today, dying day, about sports, not just basketball, but just any sport.
Just there's
no end game.
Just saying that there's an objective answer to this. Just rather up to the people whether or not their opinion wants to match the objective answer.
Speaking of making it a little bit full circle already with this conversation, if you want to talk about the objectiveness of GOATs in sports, if we want to bring it over to where they throw that pigskin at, and you want to talk
Joe
about
Montana, undefeated in the Super Bowl. Damn.
You know who the fuck I was getting at.
Yeah, Joe Montana's undefeated in the Super Bowl. That's what they tell me. That's what they tell me in basketball. If you're undefeated in the championship, it doesn't matter if someone's, been to the finals more or takes any other stats whatsoever.
You know what the fuck I was
I don't care if somebody else has more points, more whatever. You went undefeated in the finals. You the GOAT. So yeah, Joe Montana. Yeah, there we go. You're right.
Like I said, people can argue till they die a day in sports because there's no end game. You just do not like that, man. You just do not like that. I was
told by basketball heads that losing in the championship means you're not allowed to be considered the GOAT. That's what I was told by basketball heads. I don't know why it wouldn't be the same in football. By the way, basketball heads, calm down. I do also think that Michael Jordan is the GOAT, blah, 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 blah. But I also can turn around and say LeBron is probably my favorite basketball player.
I'm too much of a casual fan to have a horse in the race as far as basketball GOAT.
But that's all I'm doing. I'm just following the rules. And objective rules say that, 4-0 is better than 10-3 or whatever he had. Also, he lost the 3 that he lost. Let's talk about it. 2 of them were to the lesser Manning brother. One of them required literal it was just because a ball got stuck inside a guy's helmet. Who
is the he you're referring to? What's his name?
You know exactly who it is. Number 12. You know who it is. That's why you brought it up. That's why you brought up your favorite player, Jazz. How don't you know your favorite player's name?
My favorite player, the casual football fan who couldn't even get one sentence in, not because you all were out talking him, but because he had nothing to contribute to the conversation.
Well, because
couldn't get one sentence in.
Hate your favorite player.
No, I said not because y'all hogged the conversation. Y'all definitely left it open for me. You even kicked it to me at one point. Just the guy who had nothing to contribute to the conversation because he's such a casual fan, but yet this motherfucker is my favorite player.
Well, yeah, casual fans only like names they hear about.
That was a good comeback. That's not true, but that was a good comeback. No, I'll give you that. That was a good comeback.
I'm a casual NBA fan.
Well, you just named the 2 people that you would name if you were a casual NBA fan. So, what was I gonna say? Oh, but no, going back to it, I always feel a little odd when people talk about art being objective. I know that I know, but I know what you mean though. There is an objectivity to how to do art. And there's a certain objectiveness to it. I just feel a little bit weird when describing art as objective because art in and of itself is subjective.
Yes, and I
know what you mean.
Can see where you're coming from, but I also look at it if there wasn't an objective means to it, there wouldn't be a way to teach it.
That's why I said the whole thing about absurdist shit, where it's all fucking weird and out of the goddamn box and you're doing there's no rules. So there has to be a structure, but is
it's great to think outside the box. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying people shouldn't think out of the box just because of the objective right way to do it. No, think outside the box. If you want to film a fucking patio for 4 hours, that's on you.
I forgot what he said the name of that motherfucker.
You'll get 3 people out there to be like, I see the deeper meaning, bro.
It's genius.
Dude. Because, we put the focus on it as society, but the more we zoom in, the more we get absorbed in what's in front of us, even though there's
Cause like,
nothing of value at all. But we just fall into the vortex because we're told to. We're told to sit here at this screen, look at this nothingness, zoom in, focus on the nothingness. Oh, has an hour gone by? 2 hours? Doesn't matter. Focus on the nothingness. Nothing else matters. That's what the movie's trying to tell you. And when the guy walks in and shoots himself in the head, that's us coming down to the pressure of being an adult in the year 2023. We can't do it anymore. Too much nothing, too much focusing on the nothing, the negativity. If we just do what we told and watch the screen because we're in front of it, we're gonna kill ourselves, man. I get what that guy's going for.
I didn't want to stop you.
No, that's what it was. That's what he was going for.
What was I gonna say? No, I was but then the question that is the structure. Snap. Hold on. Wait a minute. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hold up. Okay, we good?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, hold on. My headphones is acting weird. Okay. Okay. I was gonna say. I guess it answers the further question of to go further down this fucking crazy ass like thinking ass rabbit hole. Uh, the structure that we have come up with as a society for all the different art forms, whether it be stand-up comedy, whether it be movies, whether it be books, whether it be visual art, is it to say that structure is synonymous with objectivity, or is that just the colloquial structure that we all agreed on, and then art is still subjective? That's a fucking complicated ass question, but you feel me?
Yes and no. Because I'll put it this way, like, let's take drawings or whatever. Let me see.
I was gonna go there next.
Here. So I'm not going to use the visual aids. Bottom line is, let's say you got two different drawings. Art styles are different with everybody and how they do things. But despite and how the same drawing or drawing of the same character side by side by different people, one person can say this looks better than that other one. Would not necessarily take away from the fact that, let's say, both of them have good line, despite the fact that they change, like this person does eyes differently than the other guy does noses and all of that. They still use the right line, like they still use the thick lines where they need to. They're both masters of shading for whatever pose they want to do. All of the objective things you're supposed to be able to do, the art skills, are still there, but you drew it differently. You know what I mean? Like, it's subjectively, you and I could not like the way this looks from an artistic standpoint, but that doesn't change the fact that it was still drawn correctly.
I get what you're saying. Because what I was actually gonna say next, in the sense of if you compare, like it's funny you talk about visual art. I was gonna say if you compared, like, say Jackson Pollock to like a Da Vinci or like a Van Gogh, somebody who actually like drew people in a certain way, and then Pollock is just splatters and shit. I look at Jackson Pollock, and I mean, with my fucking uncouth ass, I look at a Pollock painting, and I'm like, bro, that looked like somebody just fucking threw paint at a damn canvas. But somebody else will look at a Jackson Pollock and say, no, that shit is worthy of being worth hundreds of millions of dollars because look at this and that, and the structure of this, and blah, blah, blah. But as far as the objectivity structure that we would say would make a good painting, Pollock probably did none of that right.
Which is also where I said it's okay to think outside the box from time to time.
There you go. All right, there you go.
Because I did say that
That's
earlier. That you can think outside the box, because some people, and why you said, and probably from a large standpoint, there were a lot of artists, because I'm pretty sure Pollock ran into a lot of critical disdain
Probably had a lot of people saying, "What the fuck you doing?"
when he first started, because objectively what he did wasn't considered to do stuff, but he did it enough to where he did make it his own style. It caught on enough popularity, other people started doing it, and they're like, okay, this is a way that you can do the thing with the splattering. Same thing with the dude with the stippling, who the fucking dots to color.
Monet, right? They made the dots, and the dots created, like, if you look at it from far away, it makes a shape, but if you look at it up close, it's just a whole bunch of dots.
Kinda. Monet might have done it too. Whoever did the Sunday in the Park with so I forget the guy's name. Bottom line is, doesn't matter. You will do things differently, and people will go, "That's not it," until you show them that, hey, technically, this is still within that. You're working within the range, and you put your own spin on it. You're drawing the same shapes, but with a different method. And they're like, "Oh, actually, yeah. When you look at the grand scheme of things, your coloring is still, your use of color is still good. Your use of this, that, and the other." And hell, I think part of when it comes to any art that you do, a huge part of like what makes it art and how big art it is the skill of the artiste to sell it as such. Because there will be numerous people that talk about, like, I forget the guy's name. He does a lot of stuff with like trash and shit, and just kind of, pay me my $250,000. Here's your table, where I just took pretty much the insides of a trash bag, put it between two pieces of glass, and called it like pharmaceutical tendencies or some shit. Look at me, I'm a genius.
Yeah.
People can hate on that and be like, that ain't art, and to a degree I agree. At the same time, kudos to him, because he made somebody find out what. He's like, I made this representative of this, or the person sees it, to bring up your subjectivity, where they go, oh, this means this, because where they are in their life, this looks like that. I think there are things that can be objectively done but have subjective remarks to it.
Yeah.
Like, you can make a film about, let's say, a cop who's undercover with like a mafia, right? And meanwhile, and all the psychological things that leads to for him, like impotency. Oh no, he didn't get impotency. There's at the same time, there's a guy in the mafia who's pretending to be a cop, and that guy is dealing with a lot of mental stuff, despite even dating a therapist. He still has the mental issues that lead to things like impotency and stuff like that, even though his wife's cheating on him. And then you have a lot of other stuff.
Speaking of Van Gogh,
some people will think that, this has a lot of, deep characters, well thought out characters, and characters are plotted. And other people think it's a piece of shit. That's different,
I never said
to each their own. To each their own.
I mean, and sometimes there will be a movie that is actually a nice modern musical for the time period, at least, that is about a dad and a son, and the son is coming into his own, coming of age, which has been done before. So actually it does follow tropes in an objective fashion, but it's a son coming of age, and he really just wants to impress the girl at school. The dad feels like he's losing his son, and they're really just trying to have a bonding father-son type of trip. The son lies and gets over on the dad. The dad feels like, oh no, you're straying away from me. But then at the end of the day, everything actually fixes itself, and it becomes some feel-good stuff that actually, in a way, you could say defines a generation.
Oh yeah.
Most people Most people would say that's amazing. Other people would say, meh.
Well, you see, and that's the thing. One
And you know what
person.
the fuck I'm getting at.
Oh yeah, and I have not said that it doesn't define a generation. I've never said a Goofy movie was bad. I'm
And
not
I never
on
said The
here
Departed.
saying that The
I never said The
Departed is
Departed was a
bad.
piece of shit. I never said The Departed was a piece of shit.
I'm gonna play the clip 10 seconds earlier. The Departed's a piece of shit.
I said overrated. I said overrated. I never said it's a piece of shit.
Well, I didn't say Goofy movie was overrated.
Oh, well, you might not have said overrated, but I did say The Departed is overrated. Because, like I said, The Departed is... You're not going to get a bad performance from Matt Damon. You're not going to get a bad performance from Leonardo DiCaprio. You're not going to get a bad performance from Jack Nicholson. But I thought the story was It was overrated. Everybody's like, oh my God, this movie's amazing. It was overrated.
The Goofy movie is undeniably a fantastic movie. It didn't click with me as much because father and son relationships when I was that age were not something I was into.
Knowing
A father-son movie for me at that age was not something that I was going to empathize with nearly as much as a lot of other people. It is still an undeniably great movie. It just doesn't have the same level of nostalgia because it hit me different. That's all. I understand why it's good. I don't... Yeah.
I mean... But to be fair, to somewhat...
But then I'm also me, and I like to also constantly point out about stuff being objectively good despite not being for me. So,
well, I'm also kind of talking out my ass with this one anyway, just to argue for the sake of conversation, not really arguing. But to counter what you said about that, I was never a young white girl that grew up in Sacramento, and yet I still did think Lady Bird was all that in a bag of chips. So, but I got you though.
I don't think anyone insulted your liking of Lady Bird.
No, because you were talking about father-son relationships weren't something that you were into at the time.
Fair.
And then I'm like, well, I was never a white girl that, grew up with an adopted son and his living girlfriend and all this other shit in Lady Bird. But
fair. But I'm sure that your interaction with the movie, as much as you might have enjoyed it, will still not hit as much as, say, a white girl who went through the same mom and daughter dynamics.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course. That's why when I had the honor to be in the play The Flick, which is about three people that work at a movie theater, when it was changing over from it was written, the time period is written as 2013, and it's about when it's changing from real REEL film to digital. And the character I got to play, thankfully I never wanted to take my own life because he said he did at one point or whatever. But the character didn't have friends, had issues connecting, really liked movies, all this shit. Like you said, shit does hit differently because in elementary school, I did not have friends. I didn't necessarily watch a lot of movies at the time, but I watched a lot of TV. And I did work in a movie theater when it was converting from real to digital. So that play hit harder for me than it would for somebody else who probably, growing up after the shit is already digital and then real has been, pretty much like absolved from theaters, and somebody who may have grown up as the popular kid or some shit. Mm-hmm. So no, yes, of course, you're right. Shit does hit differently when you relate to it.
Same thing with me in like games that involve being a waiter or being a customer food service person. What? I don't want to play that. They're like, but it's funny because you get the customers coming up and they're like mad at you.
What the fuck game?
There's always like some kind of small indie game and people pop up like, oh, it's funny because it's so realistic. At least it was during like the teens, not so much nowadays. The closest thing you got nowadays is Overcooked, which is a co-op game where you can make food like you're at a restaurant and stuff. But again, that goes back to why do I want to deal with the stress of this? But it's so stressful because you have a time limit to get into you're not the customers get mad, you lose money. Yeah, why is that something I want? That is not escapism for me.
I was just about to use that word. I was just about to say, motherfucker, like I want escapism, goddamn.
Yeah.
But that's the dichotomy of life and like at play too, though, because it's funny because we look to certain shit like art for escapism, but we also look for relatability. Mm-hmm. Ain't that weird? Ain't it weird? We look for escape from reality, but we also want to relate to it at the same time. Yeah. And it makes sense, and I get it. It's just funny how that works.
It's why people never respect happy things. It's always got to have like some kind of super level of tragedy and stuff like that because real life sucks. And at the end of the day, you need to be reminded of that even in your escapism. Because that's what makes it literature. And not just some cartoon. It's a cartoon until your best friend dies. Now we have art. And I'm like, okay, why couldn't it be an art when the best friend lived? Why can't people be happy? Because being happy is a crime. Well, because you're not allowed to. Being happy is a crime because you're not allowed to be happy in real life.
I mean, if you want to talk about learning the objectivity of how to write a story, when you're learning how to write a story in English language arts, whatever the fuck, and they show you that triangle, that like open triangle at the bottom with the 2 feet, and it's exposition, rising action, conflict, falling action, and then like the like epilogue or prologue, epilogue, whatever the fuck, because the conclusion, that's what it is. But it's the thing, it's like you said, it couldn't just be, yay, we had a good time and everything. No, you gotta have a conflict, gotta have some fucking
the conflict. But let's say you have a series. Like one book is usually fine for hunky dory, happy ever after. But if you're doing anything that's got like multiple chapters or segments and like a long form narrative, motherfuckers gotta die or your series is trash, regardless of how happy it makes you feel other times. If there ain't niggas dying like 30 times a second, this ain't a serious movie. Now, I'm exaggerating when I say 30 times a second.
But I mean, no, I know that 30 times a second, because that would be fucking ridiculous. 30 times a second. But do people have to die for people to care?
That's how I feel. Because let's take a series that I haven't read, but due to the sheer success of it, it would be undeniable to say this is a bad series. Let's talk Harry Potter, for instance. So,
I haven't read it either, but apparently motherfuckers love that shit.
Yeah, so, yeah, like that's what I'm saying. It'd be preposterous of me to be like Harry Potter is trash, when clearly, is the thing. Now, their Arthur, terrible person, blah blah blah. We're not talking about her today. Calm down. But I do remember when the last book was coming out. A lot of the fans I knew, because a lot of my friends are Harry Potter fans, I never read the books because, books too long.
I ain't give a fuck for the same reason.
Exactly. I ain't got that kind of time to read that many pages.
1,000 pages, my guy. Okay. All right. Have fun with that.
Right? Right?
Anyway, I was about to cut you off.
I'm not reading that much of anything. But
1,000 pages.
But as funny as it is now that was my reason for not reading Harry Potter back in the day, given the stuff that I have read since. The bottom line is, I remember when the last book came out, people sitting around talking about how it would not be worthy literature if Harry didn't die in the end. They're like, Harry has to die for this to be actually good literature. It has to be the heroic, tragic ending of so-and-so, so-and-so. And I'm like, why does he have to die? Didn't he? Well, yeah, and he eventually lived, and people were mad about that. That's what, or some people,
The fuck? No, I'm just saying, really? What
Yeah,
the
this is
fuck?
like the people that I was saying in my friend group that were arguing with one another whether or not Harry had to die for the books to be considered good literature. They're like, it's a good story and successful series regardless, but if Harry dies, that elevates it to good literature. Because you actually have the tragic end for the hero, you got the so and so, so and so, so and so. I'm like, but why does he have to die for it to still be a good story? It's been like 7 books long.
To be fair, we have not read the books, but I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, disclaimer: we haven't read it, but I agree with you.
Happy endings. There are people that are mad about everything. Like, I'm pretty sure there are people who look at One Piece, and without me going into detail of the story, I'm pretty sure. Oh, I know. There's a character named Usopp in the story. Usopp has a big nose or whatever. He's kind of the closest thing to a normal person in the main party. I say the closest thing because he's not a normal person. He's the weakest person in the crew, but even as the weakest person in the crew, he could still withstand taking a 4-ton bat to the face. He's not a normal person.
Why isn't that weighing 4 tons?
Because the guy swinging it can swing a bat that weighs 4 tons.
I mean, apparently I figured that out. I put 2 and 2 together. I'm just saying.
Because the person can swing it. That's why. You mean if you could swing a 4-ton bat, you wouldn't? Exactly.
I don't know what need I would have to swing a
in the
bat.
face. Really?
Why? If we talk about real life terms, Jazz, why would I have a need to hit someone in the face with 4 tons of anything? Whose face am I trying to bash in and head I'm trying to knock off their shoulders that much? Cartoon, okay, but if you want to talk about me, who the fuck?
But I'm saying, if you had the capability to swing a 4-ton bat at somebody.
I mean, I'm not about to wipe my ass with $100 bills, but if I had the capability of doing it, yeah, I probably would, because fuck it.
All right. So, the bottom line is, Usopp.
Anyway.
Usopp, there's a huge section of the fan base that really believes that what will truly make One Piece a great story when all is said and done is if Usopp dies before the end. He has to die so we get that serious motivation.
In some cases,
now
I don't know One Piece, but in some cases that is true.
I won't say who, but there have been characters that have died in the series. They're not nearly as numerous as some other series. I'm not going to be here and be like, One Piece is a bloodbath. No. You want your characters to die? Go watch Attack on Titan. You get all the characters dying and no need to invest in any characters you like that you want. Same thing with Game of Thrones. If you want to like not bother investing in a lot of characters because they're just going to die anyway, go watch that. It's great. Game of Thrones ended very poorly, so I would suggest you don't watch it at all, but that's me. I'm just trying to save you your time. I can't speak on Attack on Titan's ending. I fell behind on that. But I can tell you, there's a lot of characters dying, and you will be very happy. But I don't think Usopp needs to die, because that's also not the point of the story of One Piece. Like, oh no, he died because... Why? Luffy needed to learn that life on the sea is hard, because he hasn't learned that yet? I don't get it. But that's that. Bottom line is, sometimes it's okay to be happy.
I have no problem with certain certain stories doing shit like killing off a character or whatever the fuck, or just anything, as long as it doesn't feel like they did it because they felt they should do it. If and I don't know One Piece, but in anything, if the story is trending towards the death of so-and-so or the death of so-and-so impacts the story in a way that doesn't feel tacked on, okay, cool. Don't do it for the sake of we should. And that's anything, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, I highly doubt. If he does, if Usopp does die, I highly doubt it will be because Oda felt peer pressured by his fan base. This man has been writing the same story for like 20 something years, and is finally in the end game. He's been taking his time with how he wants to write this story. And I think he even came out and he was like, there was a time where there was at one point where he's like, if someone guesses the ending of the series, I would change the ending. But then eventually he came out and like re-clarified. He's like, so while I wouldn't necessarily, he's like, there are people out there who have figured it out. With and all the infinite amount of YouTube videos and stuff, there are people there who have a general idea how the story is going to end. But he's like, rather than change things up from what he's doing entirely, it's like, I just need to do it in a way that's still unique enough and still surprises them enough. It's like, maybe you guessed that this thing is here or this person did this, but you didn't know this was happening when that happened, did you? You didn't know that this happening would mean this. Good idea. Which I think is a good way to approach it as well. But if Usopp dies, it will have been, okay, yeah, the author meant for this to happen the whole time, not, oh, some of my fan base is real up into literatures about my character needing to die here. No.
And sometimes predictability is not a bad thing, because like I said, if you do stuff just to do it in spite of people predicting, then yeah, because as good as Squid Game was, and it really was like that goddamn good, to the point where I stayed up much later than I thought I did one night because I watched 5 episodes in a row and they're an hour apiece.
It's a classic.
But I don't know about that. Maybe. I think it's the most viewed Netflix show though. But anyway, but as good as Squid Game is, I don't know if they put something at the end because they wanted to avoid predictability, but they put a twist at the end that seemed very tacked on and kind of like, really? And it works when you think about the ramifications of what it means in the story without saying what it is, but it was like, really?
Yeah, sometimes people look forward to that predictability.
Yes, what I said, sometimes predictability is not a bad thing if the entire setup in the story earned it. Predictability, like Endgame was like my friend Jeremy,
for the most part.
My friend who loves the MCU to the point where he bought like the fucking Infinity War like comic box set and saw Endgame like a few times in the theater and all this shit. He said it's fan service, the movie, and it is. All the shit that you knew was gonna happen in Endgame happened in Endgame, but they earned it and everybody wanted to see it, so it wasn't bad.
Yeah, like I said, the same people to be like, everything's the same. You just got the same other people there that also somehow complaining, whatever happened to predictability? You know, you Milkman, Paperboy, Evening TV, things like that. Something.
Keep going.
Around. I only know just around the bend. I don't know the next words, and then I know everywhere you look.
You know more than I did. I just knew the Milkman, the Paperboy. That was it.
Apparently, that's the same guy as Family Matters.
That makes sense.
Right? I never thought about it till like 2 weeks ago when someone said that.
I never watched Full House, so
I never thought about it till like 2 weeks ago when someone at work, we had Family Matters on, and they mentioned that it's the same person as that. I'm like, it is? And I'm like, I can actually. They're like, you couldn't tell? I'm like, I never thought about it. I thought white show, black show. Why would they have the same person doing the theme song? Does that sound
my dude was diversifying his portfolio.
Does that sound like it's inadvertently racist? Probably. I didn't mean it that way, but I just never associated. I thought, not step by step. Full House and Family Matters. Full House was a white show. Family Matters was a black show. Why would they have the same, person? Now, is that inadvertently racist thought for me? Yes.
It is a little bit, unfortunately. Yeah, that's funny.
But as a kid, when that came out, a lot of things, not necessarily meaning for it to be racist, but I guess in more of an effort to try to get black kids to be proud of their own race and not forget their heritage or where they came from. You do point out a lot of things that are like, no, the black folks watch Family Matters, or insert show over here is a white show, insert or type of music is white. Like there's a guy at the FGC that got in trouble for calling something white music when there's like early 90s rock. He's like, this is my first time listening to white music. How dare you? Sorry,
I mean,
I grew up
I listen to all kinds of music.
it.
I listen to all kinds of music, but I'll be the first to say Papa Roach is white music.
Papa Roach is white as fuck. I say that as someone who likes a few Papa Roach songs.
And I'll be the first to say that fucking Bun B, Pimp C, UGK shit is some black music. Like, what the fuck? Now, should we classify it that way? No. But if we're speaking in like the, colloquial terms, come on now.
Yeah.
But anyway, come on now. Speaking of music, if you want to go ahead and follow me on my respective socials, us on our respective socials, I should say. Speaking of music, you can go ahead and follow me anywhere you stream your music. Go ahead and look me up under the name Superjaz, which is spelled Superjaz. You can go ahead. I released in October 2021 my debut solo album, My Secret Identity. You may have to put in Superjaz, My Secret Identity, since I'm not so famous yet. Also, you can go ahead and look me up on Twitter under the handle Superjaz2, which would be Superjaz number 2. And of course, you can go ahead and find and follow me on Instagram under the name Forever Superjaz. The word forever is spelled correctly. Where can they find you, sir?
Well, you can find me here every week, every Wednesday. You can also find me elsewhere on YouTube under the channel Feogrande. That is Feogrande. I have a show on that channel called This Guy Hasn't Seen. I think I referenced that earlier today. We watched some.
Show.
Yeah, it is a dope show where I hosted with a good friend of mine and a friend of the show, Bill Smith. We trade movies back and forth. Not exactly sure which movie we're on this week, but it's probably a good one. I know we watched RRR. I mentioned we watched RRR earlier, and I know a recent one we had suggested from our comment section of RRR, where the person wanted us to watch another movie, the previous movie by that director, Bahubali. So that should be fun.
Was it somebody y'all didn't know?
Correct. It was someone that's a genuine fan of Tollywood that was like, you guys seem to enjoy you guys might enjoy enjoy a good Tollywood movie. Here's this. So we're like, why not? Let's give it a shot.
That's what's up, man. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, help y'all branch out, man.
Yeah, so that's what's going on there. You can also find me on Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi. Come on in. Stop on by. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and whether it be about Tollywood, Bollywood, Nollywood, Hollywood, or Dollywood, whether it be about music and what color it may or may not be assigned to, whether it be about the fucking existentialism and esotericness that was this whole fucking episode about the objectivity or subjectivity of art in and of itself, and is that whole question rhetorical and a paradoxical statement that can't even be answered? What are we gonna talk about next?
Whatever we want.
Be nice to yourself, everybody.
Adiosness.